Here's a problem nobody wants to admit. Some of the biggest threats to liberal societies right now don't come from outside. They're not Russia, they're not populism, they're not bad actors gaming the system, they're built into liberalism's own internal logic. Two features that were never mistakes. They were the tool working exactly as designed. And given enough time, they were always going to become liabilities. I've argued in previous videos that political systems aren't judged by some neutral philosopher king weighing up truth content. They compete under specific conditions against specific rivals for the loyalty of actual people. And liberalism won, spectacularly, from 43 countries in 1973 to 117 a generation later. That's the largest, fastest transformation in how humans organise themselves ever recorded. But a tool that's good at spreading isn't necessarily a tool that stays well matched to the society carrying it. And liberalism carries two internal tensions that never had a built-in stopping point. Run for long enough by committed adherents, both eventually become costs rather than benefits. The first is liberalism's universalism. Follow the logic all the way through and you arrive somewhere its defenders rarely sit and examine. A tool built around the rights owed to the individual, followed to its logical conclusion, doesn't leave a stable place for the nation, the border, or the bounded group of any kind. And this isn't just the political wing. The economic side carries identical universalism. Classical trade theory, from Smith and Ricardo onward, treats the individual firm or the individual transaction as the basic unit of analysis. It has no real theoretical place for the nation as a competing economic unit at all. Both wings converge on the same destination. Now here's where it gets a bit more uncomfortable. Cohesion, actual social cohesion, the kind that makes strangers cooperate, depends on the in-group being able to exclude, on having boundaries. If you push the boundary out far enough, the bonds that depended on those boundaries disappear. Liberalism, when you fully follow its logic, dissolves the very group boundary its own cohesion mechanisms need in order to keep working. This isn't speculation, it's one of the most consistent findings in social psychology. Tajfel's minimal group experiments in the 1970s showed strangers divided by literally nothing, which abstract painter they preferred, for example, immediately favouring their own group. And then we had the Robbers Cave experiment as well, demonstrating the same dynamic at a larger scale. And cross-cultural evidence, which I've discussed in earlier videos, points again and again toward a shared rival, and our group can define itself against as the single strongest driver of in-group cohesion available. Remove the out-group entirely, which is precisely what a fully realised universalism does, since a tool that recognises no group can hardly recognise a rival one, and rather than global harmony, you get globalised, atomised individual isolation. Its most committed adherents have always hoped for a global scale replacement for national identity, and to be fair to them, that hope isn't obviously absurd, it simply hasn't happened generations in. So universalism dissolves the boundary, that's problem one. But there's a second intrinsic tension, and this one has been building for centuries, not decades, and it's about power. Liberalism's entire historical arc in Britain has been a story of steadily dissipating effective power away from whoever visibly holds it. Power dissipated from the monarch to a parliament, power then further dissipated from monarch and parliament out to an independent judiciary. Each move was liberalism's committed adherents following the tool's own internal logic. But there is no stable, functional endpoint inherent in that logic, and so no point at which its adherents can stop their efforts, because nothing in the underlying reasoning tells them to stop. They have kept diffusing power outward onto an ever-expanding layer of arm's-length regulators, independent authorities, bureaucrats and quasi-autonomous bodies, quangos, each individually justified by the same accountability logic that justified every earlier step. Each one, once created, extremely difficult to reverse, because reversing it means someone visible reclaiming power that was specifically diffused so that no one visible would hold it. The result, several centuries in, is a state that has become extraordinarily good at preventing power grabs, and correspondingly bad at doing anything decisive at all, an accountability mechanism that has, in a real sense, ossified around its own success. Both of these are the same kind of problem, a piece of liberal logic that never had a built-in stopping point, run for long enough by its adherents that it eventually becomes a cost rather than a benefit. Universalism dissolving the group boundary cohesion depends on, and accountability diffusion ossified into an inability to act. Neither one required anything to go wrong from outside. Neither one is a bug. Both are simply what liberalism's own internal logic produces, given enough fervour and enough time to run. And here's a question worth sitting with. We've established that societies don't suffer for holding a logical contradiction. England held pride as virtue and pride as sin together for 800 years of explosive expansion. But we've also established that following universalism's logic all the way through carries real costs. So is insisting on logical consistency when arguing for how far to take a tool like liberalism actually good for the society doing the arguing? Let me know your answer in the comments. But those are the intrinsic problems. What happens when the world outside liberalism changes? When the rivals get smarter and the people carrying the tool are no longer the same people it was built to fit? That's the extrinsic side, and that's the next video. If this is the kind of content you want more of, please like and subscribe.